Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 151, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. Okay, so I'm going to be reviewing Chance the Rapper's album, The Big Day, and I'm going to be saying a lot about this record. I have a lot of different points. I'm going in a lot of different directions. I think this is actually going to be a big episode. I think it's actually going to be a really good episode now that I think about it. So stay tuned. My little tease is at the end, I'm going to put forward the idea that Chance the Rapper might be the Chris Pratt of hip-hop. I might mean that in a bad way. So I'm going to be titling this video, Chance the Rapper, The Big Day, Grammy Bait or Greatness. And spoiler, I'm going with greatness. But when I looked at it and when I heard it, I kind of had the sense that, maybe he's just going to make like this mainstream, forward-thinking, super positive album with all these guests, it has all these unexpected guests like En Vogue and Randy Newman and Death Cab for Cutie, and everything's so positive and wonderful. And I was thinking, is this just like an attempt to make an album that is, like I said, all things to all people, so positive, so wonderful? Now, first of all, you can sense a little bit of cynicism in my voice. I'm a fairly cynical guy at times. So the idea that I would think that someone trying to make something positive for everybody is inherently bad is maybe a little bit of throwback to my 90s mentality. We'll get to that later. But I listened to it, and after, because I scanned through to see what I'm going to review, I was going to work out just for half an hour today. So I was looking through to find something pretty easy to review quickly. And then I listened to like 3 or 4 tracks off this album and I scrapped my plans. I was like, all right, I'm going to do the full 2-hour workout because I need to listen to this album in depth. I need to listen to a couple tracks more and more. It is truly a great album. Some albums make me feel a certain way when I first listen to them, where I basically know that they are going to become a part of my life. A really good example, okay, I don't know why I said that like Ron Burgundy. They become a part of my life. But like the first time I listened to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, I listened to it the day it came out, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the only thing I'm going to be listening to for the next year. In a similar way, that's the sense I got at times from this album. Why is it so great? Well, part of what makes it great is what makes it skirt that line between, is he just trying to be something super positive that everyone can go, I don't like hip-hop, but I like that Chance fellow. He's very positive. But the positivity isn't fake. At least I don't feel that it's fake. The entire album is mostly about getting married. It's mostly about young love. It's mostly about his love of God. It's about his meditations on his own success. But often with rappers, when they do something heartfelt, there's kind of an interesting, but I would say at this point, cliche of just like, this is who I am when I'm flossing and getting the money and sleeping with all the women, and then this is who I am when I'm searching for God and trying to be my real self, and making the album all about that conflict. That's interesting. I don't know if Eminem was the first person to do it. He's probably the best person to do it. But this doesn't feel like that. This feels like a surprisingly wise young guy who's just able to see his own life, and he presents both sides of it, but it's not this big clash. It's like a development to where he is now rapping about, before he liked money and lots of women, and now he is in love with one woman and he's going to get married. Caveat, I did just get, married this summer, so I am emotionally moved by this album because I felt a lot of the ways that he's saying. I will say that we should be careful of what I call the Counting Crows fallacy. So when the Counting Crows came out, they came out with that song, Mr. Jones, and it was kind of cheesy. But some friends of mine bought their record, actually their cassette. And I remember driving around in Belmont, Massachusetts, and we listened to the song Round Here, very emotional, moving song. And my friend Mark, who was driving, just made everybody in the car get completely quiet. And as we drove around, I think we even was driving around the parking lot of Wellington Elementary School. I remember it that clearly. I used to go play basketball there. And I was like moved to tears. Around here, always on my mind. And like I was like, this is the greatest, most meaning. I had all the goosebumps. You can even see the goosebumps right now. That's from me remembering listening to Round Here by Counting Crows. But then like I woke up the next day and I tried listening to the whole Counting Crows album. I was like, it is cheesy. This is cheesy. This is not good. That song was a low blow. It was fake. I don't actually feel that way about this record. So there's a chance that this kind of album, which is capable of eliciting such an emotional response, there's a chance I'll come back to it and then I'll say, oh boy, I was overly moved by my first impression, because I got a lot of goosebumps on multiple places on this record. So I'm just going to throw out that little bit of precaution. I don't think it's necessary. I think this is going to be a great record. I think it's going to be Lauryn Hill, not Counting Crows. I don't even hate the Counting Crows, but, you know. They are not as good as I thought they were when I was driving around that time in Belmont, Massachusetts. It's a very long album, over an hour long. There's basically no filler. Sometimes it feels like there's going to be a filler song, like the song Let's Go on the Run. But then there's this end part with these crazy drums, and like, okay, that's pretty good. Or the song The Big Day, which is okay, has an interesting guest singer, which makes it sound a little bit different. But then at the end, there's like yelling out of nowhere. Town on the Hill is a track with Bon Iver, and it's the most Christian song. I'll get to his Christianity later. But then, like, what he's able to do that most Christian musicians since Bach have not been able to do what Chance the Rapper is able to do, which is inspire religious feelings towards God. I don't think it's done very often. It's a controversial take, but there you go. And he's able to do it with the second part of the song Town on the Hill. Myself, as a Christian, but kind of a weird mystic dude, don't go to church a lot, I heard the first part and I was like, all right, preacher, I got it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jeebus. But then the second part actually moved me. And that's something that if Chance the Rapper can do anything, is he's kind of a cynicism breaker. Because you hear it and you go, all right, I know what this is. And then he's so good. His voice is so distinguishable, so distinctive. That's the word. That's why I don't edit the show. His voice is so distinctive. And not just like the sound of his voice, but like his perspective. You just get so into what he's saying that he's able to break any cynicism you might have. There are a couple tracks I don't really like. A track called Slide Around with Nicki Minaj is like, all right, you like Gucci shoes. Woo. Definitely I noticed the new trend, which has been brewing for a couple years now, of the resuscitation of early 90s to mid 90s New Jack soul sounds. You know, the new Bruno Mars song. But very noticeable here, a lot with his guest stars. You know, he has En Vogue and SWV here. But I think it's great. I think it's great that people are bringing back these artists who are banished to obscurity just because. And to bring them back and to have them sing the songs is nice. Particularly the song I Got You with En Vogue is probably the best example of this kind of 90s retro thing that he's doing. Ballin' and Flossin' is neat because it's basically just a straight up like house jam, like house music. And he even mentions it. And it's a nice kind of upbeat song. And the whole album's upbeat. The reason that I knew I was going to like this album, I'm not going to go over every track, but a lot of them. The track Do You Remember, which features Death Cab for Cutie. And so I'm kind of thinking, okay, is he doing this sort of Kanye thing of like, oh, who's this guest appear? Oh, Death Cab for Cutie on a hip-hop album? Whatever. But it's a really good song because, okay, songs about summers of the past, there's so many of them. You know, I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire, oh, do you remember? You know, started it off, and just there's so many songs about remembering summers when you were younger. And this is how this one goes. A difference is he's just better at it. Like, he's able to reach emotional truths in a way that most rappers and singers aren't. So when he talks about summers lasting longer when you were younger, it connects with you in a more real way. And then he does this thing where he talks about remembering the last summer of the teens. And I was like, what does he mean? And then he starts talking about Lion King and Will Smith as a genie. And you realize that he's rapping about right now. He's projecting future nostalgia for 2019. What the hell, Chance the Rapper? That's awesome. It is great. It is super good. It's just a great idea, because that's the flaw of nostalgia, is that it somehow thinks that there's something special about the past when there's nothing special about the past. That was supposed to be a really meaningful thing, but then I chewed on my words. There's nothing special about the past. Okay. Another song which was able to give me goosebumps is a track dedicated to his brother. So there's a lot of like skits, and hip-hop skits basically always suck. Even De La Soul, when they did it the best, better than anybody else, they basically always suck. But in this album, they're very tied in. So it's like, basically, you have the image of there being a wedding, that you're at this guy's wedding, Chance the Rapper's wedding, and they left like a tape recorder, and people, just old people, you know, like uncles or aunts or grandparents or something, get on and just like leave, you know, record their thoughts. And so in this, it's like someone talking to these two brothers who are fighting, and they took a picture of them with a Polaroid and saying like, let's retake it because you guys are fighting, which then leads into a song about brotherhood, Rue. And it's just a great song. It's a great song about brotherhood. It's, again, if I told you there's a great song about brotherhood and, you know, family and all this, like the cynicism, you just want to bring it out, but he's a cynicism breaker. Plus, there's a great female singer who comes in kind of a strained way. Thank you, Kanye, for what he did last year with Ye. That allowed people to do all this. More Kanye later. There's also just like a really nice straight-up hip-hop track called Hot Shower, which is sort of the funniest, has the best rhyme, the best flows. It's kind of funny, and it's nice because it's just him being a little bit goofy. It's underproduced. In general, the whole album is very well produced. This is just like a drum line and a guy rapping and a lot of funny, interesting rhymes. I really suggest listening to that. Listen to Hot Shower. And then it goes right into We Go High, quoting Michelle Obama, which is like the opposite of the previous song. It's like really well produced, maybe even overproduced, and it's this emotional track about aspiring to something great. He actually references Langston Hughes in the song. And it's this kind of soul-searching goosebump rap that he's able to do. I would say that my stamp for the album is a track called 5-Year Plan, and it's not that it's the best track, it probably is, but it's more that it's the most exemplary. It's a song all about the future and what he's going to be doing in the future and what he thought he'd be doing in the past. It has Randy Newman, you know, pick you up in the apple, on it, my favorite song where Randy Newman sings a word. And although he's a great songwriter, but just I don't like his singing voice. Although my mom did, so maybe there's something to Randy Newman. And he's great on this. And this has that ability. I first heard of Chance the Rapper on the song Ultralight Beam on Kanye's album Life of Pablo, and I didn't know who he was. And it was much like when I first heard Nicki Minaj on the song Monster on a different Kanye song. I'm just like, whoever this person is, they're the greatest. I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they found them. I'm not some hip dude trolling around Chicago trying to find great rap artists. Great rap artists. Great rap artists. I am just some dude sitting in Western New York, and this guy's blowing my mind. And this had that same feeling, this amazing ability. He has the dynamism with his voice of kind of going low and whispering and going up higher. So I'll play a little bit of that song right now. 5-Year Plan. I think my computer locked. It did. I have to put in my password. My password is Kanye. I'm just kidding. That's not my password. Okay. 5-Year Plan. I just had to scare them off and draw a line in the sand. Anything you gave to me, they couldn't pry from my hands. Anything you gave to me. So just kind of like Christian references. He sings up high, goes low. I know shortcuts cut short, long runs. It's just great rhyming, you know, really super strong. Time for them lessons, time for them blessings, time for first, second, third, fourth impressions, time for reflection, time for confession, time will... I'll skip ahead a little bit. Skip ahead to the weird Randy Newman part. like they took his singing and like cut it up, and they put the strings in the back, and it's, you know, just screw it, just listen to it. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Would you? Listen to a song, would you? There's an interesting track called Sun Comes Down, or Sun Come Down, I don't know which one it is, and it's a song about his own death. And it's interesting because he's 26, I think 26 or 27. He talks about the 27 Club at some point. And this kind of young person meditating on death made me think about 21 Pilots. And then I had this weird thought. Like, Chance the Rapper is really a lot like 21 Pilots. In the way that, you know, 21 Pilots is vaguely Christian, but definitely Christian. They have a lot of the trappings of their genre, of like rock and indie rock and all that stuff, but they somehow go beyond it. There's a positivity to them, while at the same time, like a, I don't know, sort of like underlying like fear of darkness. There's a weird sort of obsession with death. There's a way in which if you play them to people my age, we just go, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it. But really, for the young people coming up, like that is it. Like Chance the Rapper is it. When I talk to my students about who are the great rappers right now, you know, who do you like? They all say Chance the Rapper. And for rock, they all say 21 Pilots. So I don't know. I think you could do an interesting comparison between them. They both show a lot of reference to older generations, and they both are kind of unintelligible for Gen Xers like myself. Found a Good One is just a song about not being single, which I just got married. So thank you, Chance the Rapper, for releasing the best rap album of the summer and having it be all about how great it is to get married in 2019. I completely agree. And then the last track is called Zanies and Fools. And this, production-wise, is maybe the most forward-thinking production. It's got these crazy drums where he raps along to the drums and then a children's chorus. And it's also a little bit about the fear of marriage, growing up in a society of divorce. Nicki Minaj comes back, and unlike the song Slides, she actually sings nicely. She raps in an interesting way about her past, and in a way that I like. And at the end, it ends up talking about how important it is to be in a monogamous relationship. So that's good. You know, there's another song on there called Eternal that's the same way. So that's good. I knew this would be a long one, but it's pretty good, right? I mean, you got me singing. You got me talking about 21 Pilots. I'm getting to the Chris Pratt song. I do fear that, like, who is doing all this? Like, is he really doing all this? Like, is he really writing all these lines? I'm not saying it's impossible, but, like, he makes references to, like, Groucho Marx. I don't know what his education is, but why would a 26-year-old kid from Chicago reference Groucho Marx? He says, why do birds Burt Bacharach? So, like, he's singing about the song Close to You, and you would have to know that that song was written by Burt Bacharach. Maybe he did it all. Maybe he is that good. And if he is, I apologize for doubting you, Mr. the Rapper. But I do kind of wonder, like, when you look at the production credits, there's long lists, and writer things, there's long lists. So maybe this is more of a group production, but it doesn't matter. It's a great album, however it is. I also noticed Trap Money Benny is one of the main producers, and he's the guy who did Kiki, In My Feelings by Drake. So it's interesting seeing him come back. So, coming back to Chris Pratt. I was talking to my wife this morning about Chance the Rapper. I was trying to explain how important he is and why he's great. And I was explaining the way that he's Christian. And she goes, oh, that's my least favorite kind. I was like, well, no, I mean, like, he talks about it, but he doesn't really evangelize, which is kind of nice. Like, oh, so he's like Chris Pratt? I was like, ooh. And Chris Pratt's an interesting guy because he's sort of one of the great disappointments, at least for me, in the way that when he started out on Parks and Recreation, I watched the first season before everyone else liked it. Like, I zoomed right in on him, and I really connected to him, and I thought he was this great, funny actor, and I thought, how come this guy isn't more famous? How come everybody doesn't love Chris Pratt? And then he was in the Lego movie, and I was like, all right, people are starting to get it. And then all of a sudden, he was on Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, oh my God, it happened. Like, this guy who I felt belonged to me now belongs to everybody. And then once he got famous, he started like making videos where he's like saluting the flag and like spouting out weird conservative talking points and talking about like God and country. And I just realized, oh no, he was never mine. Like, he just wasn't that famous and he's charismatic, but like, he's kind of a douche. He's just this like, and so he went from like being this little thing that I knew about to being something where I was excited that he was getting famous, to then feeling like I lost him completely, to now when I see he's in a movie, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll see it anyway. My fear is that that's what's up with Chance the Rapper, and it's not, but that was my fear. That, you know, I heard him on Ultralight Beam, and I felt like, he's mine, you know? And then like, within like a week, he was doing Kit Kat commercials. I'm like, this guy isn't even famous enough to be a household name, and he's doing Kit Kat commercials. I remember talking to my students, like, doesn't that disappoint you? And, you know, millennials and Gen Z, they don't even understand what selling out means. So like, no, I'm happy he did a Kit Kat commercial. So I started to feel like I was losing him, and then I thought with this album, you know, like maybe he's just going to be some boring, conservative, you know, make everybody happy, be for everybody rapper. So that's my fear, is that he's going to become the Chris Pratt of rap. But I don't think he is. All right, well, that was my Chance the Rapper review, The Big Day. I think this album's going to be sticking with me. I think my kids are going to like it. I think my wife's going to like it. I think everyone's going to like it. I think it's going to win all the damn Grammys, and everyone's going to be talking about it. He's going to be the next big thing, and I'm going to have to sort of lose him in the way that I lost Lauryn Hill, in the way that I lost Chris Pratt, except I don't really lose him. Because, however cynical I get, hopefully he'll continue to break that cynicism. Okay, until next time, for the harp in the back, for Toby on the couch, for the Emperor chair, there's the camera.